Today I am celebrating my brother, Nigel Powell. He's a man who I wish to celebrate because his courage in the face of adversity has been so profound over the last 20 years. He was a man who in his early 20s was about to get married to the love of his life, and just 6 weeks before the wedding, he had a motorbike accident. He was standing on his motorbike, ready to make a right turn at the T-junction when someone else knocked him off his bike. He received no insurance claim and has been paralysed from the waist down for the rest of his life. He went on to marry his wife, who at the time said, "It's just Nigel, he's just got a broken back, he's still the same man," which was a beautiful sentiment, and they lived very happily together through those first 10 years or so of him coming to terms with being paralysed and adapting to living life in a wheelchair. Eventually they separated, and he then had to discover how to live independently as someone who has to confront very difficult personal situations every day. It's not just wheeling oneself around that is the weight that he has to bear. Every day his personal routine involves many hours of boring, tedious, practical tasks just to be able to present himself as a normal person in the world. And he has now been doing that for, I think it's 10 or 15 years. And he still soldiers on. He still manages to entertain himself and live much of his life in a state of relative contentment and peace, not hurting anyone, asking very little of anybody, living without any home support. A couple of years ago, or last year I believe, he went to hospital and went to, well, I should first explain why he went to hospital. So he obviously had this motorbike accident that led to him being in a wheelchair, and yet the need for speed never left him. And as his best friend had begun to go to track days on powerful motorbikes, and my brother became aware of the existence of people who were getting strapped onto their motorbikes. People who had the same back injury that he was suffering from were getting strapped on with Velcro onto powerful superbikes to race around tracks. He finally thought, I'm going to have a bit of that. And so, for the last few years, he has been racing at hundreds of miles an hour around the racetracks of the UK, and it's just astounding to think that, you know, someone who has already encountered an injury would then take on that sport that they love so much again at even greater risk. And you know, he was exhilarated and dearly loved that until about a year ago he suffered another accident. He came off the bike, and unfortunately that caused profound injuries that led to a good 6 months of recovery, which he's recovered from. He's then had to go back to hospital for other kidney issues and other complications that arise out of his conditions, and so he's had a significant amount of time in hospital in recent years. And when in hospital, they find out that, what? You don't have any carers? Nobody comes to your home? There's nobody to look after you? He's like, no, do it all myself. It's astounding. You know, he has managed to keep his self-respect, and you know, there are still moments, like all of us, we have our tough days, and you know, both my brother and I have tears with each other on occasion, and that happens. Life is real and life is hard, and we're lucky to have each other, someone to be able to vent with and to sob with on occasion. Um, but you know, I live on the other end of the country. It's very difficult for me to spend much time with him, and he has a very great circle of friends that he has had since childhood, and but they all have family lives and are spread around, so much of his time is spent alone, and yet again he still stands tall even in his chair. He's an absolutely beautiful man. He gets more beautiful every year to my eye. He's got white in his beard now and white on top, and he's still got the naughtiest sense of humour, has me in stitches, and entertains the people that he spends a lot of time with. So today I'd just like to take this moment to honour my brother Nigel and to celebrate his genius for play and for being in the present moment, for being able to fix things and build things, and his never-ending tenacity for showing up in the world, even despite all his challenges. So this is to celebrate you, Nigel, my brother. Sending you love.